Go for it, Mr. Burns.
That's an intro right there.
There we go.
There we go.
Go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Unnamed Cybersecurity Podcast, because we still can't figure out a name. I'm Chris. I'm here with Bob, and I'm here with Matt. And Matt has been unkidnapped.
We have names.
And don't forget socks.
Podcast just doesn't have a name.
You got socks right there too.
Oh, there you go. I don't have a dog with me today, unfortunately. But we've been teasing for weeks about this topic. And part of the reason we couldn't do the topic is because Matt was the one that brought it up.
Yeah,
Matt bad. Bounced on us.
And then I got kidnapped.
Yeah, they got kidnapped again. So we're going to touch a little bit today on shared responsibility model. It's very exciting stuff. Riveting, in fact. If you are going to sleep while listening to this, you're probably already out.
Yes. Yes.
So
but this will wake you up.
But no one thinks they're responsible for anything.
Well, we're bringing the energy to this. That's
responsibility. What's that?
I don't think I should start talking about who. Yeah, let's leave responsibility and accountability for that out. That's a different topic and different.
Okay, yeah.
So
we're about to cross boundaries and become a named canceled podcast.
So when we talk about the cloud, right? What is the one thing that every single person you talk to says about the cloud if they use a cloud application?
It's safe. It's in the cloud.
Exactly. It's safe. It's in the cloud. What does that really mean, though? Yeah, somebody else's problem. Until you read the terms of service, right? So when you read the terms of service, it starts going into this shared responsibility model. And you ever mention that to a prospect or a customer, by the way? Dude, eyes glaze over, they stare at you, and it's just like, what are you talking about, shared responsibility model?
Well, but that's where education is.
That's why I write them a check.
So the basics of this is, if you put your data in Microsoft, Google, Amazon, most cloud services, they are responsible to protect their platform. That does not mean that they turn on security defaults for you at all. And it's your responsibility as the purchaser. Yeah. The user. It's your responsibility to protect your identity. So if they give you a username and password and they have multi-factor authentication, it's your responsibility to turn it on. Now, some cloud providers have just turned on by default now for certain applications because people just weren't doing it. And, people get their data stolen because they just log in and steal it. But that's not their responsibility. Another thing that we were talking about in the green room was I had a situation with a customer where somebody had data corruption in a cloud storage. They didn't, and they had backup, but somebody corrupted a file, didn't tell anybody, and the retention period passed, so we couldn't get the file back. How many people have told you that? How many people?
If there's backup, not all backup is created equal, and you need to plan out your retention periods and things like that.
So let's say you have a 90-day retention period. And what that means is, like, they may take snapshots inside of the cloud for 90 days. Well, if the corrupted file gets to day 91, you don't have a good version anymore. All you have is a corrupted version.
So do we want to tell folks what a cloud-to-cloud backup is and why that might help?
Go ahead.
Well,
what is a
cloud-to-cloud backup is kind of what it sounds like. You've got your Microsoft cloud, you got your backup cloud, and we copy stuff over here. So when crap goes to crap here, I'm trying not to swear, we have a bigger retention period over here. So how are my two clouds doing? I see Bob chuckling. Can you tell I'm used to dealing with kindergartners lately?
Yeah, I was thinking that's exactly what I was thinking.
The not swearing part. Maybe
it's really secondary backup that can have a much bigger retention period. Sure. So should the proverbial poop hit the fan and your Microsoft cloud, your Google cloud, what have you, there's a copy elsewhere.
Well, Matt, it's not even the retention period too, because if you're backing everything up with one provider, say we're putting everything into a Google Vault because this is a Google backup, and Google has a major issue, we still want to get your data. So we definitely want to see multiple locations.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I can't remember if Chris said it while we were chatting or before we were recording, but I want to reiterate it either way. Chris, maybe you worded it better, but it's that Microsoft is responsible for the platform, but you're responsible for the data and how you use it, right? Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
I talked in both parts about that.
Okay.
But I have another scenario where people forget, right? So shared responsibility model, they're responsible to have your stuff there, right? To protect the platform. They may offer snapshots, but they don't back up the data, right? So snapshots being maybe versioning or something like that you can go back to for a specific amount of time. Could be 30 days, could be 90 days. What happens if somebody just deletes something and you're not backing it up and it gets outside that retention period? Guess what?
What if it's a rogue employee that's mad, a disgruntled employee that's deleting stuff systematically over the past 6 months?
Yep. So that actually leads me into, I guess, another similar scenario. I have a client that had employees that were let go over a year ago, and the mailboxes were deleted, just completely deleted. And then a lawsuit was served to them in recent months, requiring proof that certain things were or weren't done. And obviously that data is gone from the Microsoft platform. However, it still was completely intact in the backup platform. So there's some retention safeties there as well. And it's immutable. So we know that data hadn't been manipulated over time, such as one of those employees deleting things or adding things or whatever in those mailboxes. I'm sorry, probably too much detail.
Well,
not a lawyer, just work with them in real life, unfortunately, thanks to my brother. Sticking lawyers.
Stay the Holiday Express will be fine. That's what I hear. Everybody's a lawyer, man.
I did the Holiday Express once years ago.
Just put in ChatGPT, it'll be fine. It'll tell you exactly what you should
do.
No hallucinations needed, nothing. We're fine.
Yeah. So
not advice. That's not legal advice, by the way.
I guess what we're trying to say is the common misconception is it's in the cloud, so it's secure and it's safe, but that's not the case. And that's what we're talking about all the time. But I realize we're talking about big breaches, but right now we're talking about something that applies to everybody who might be watching this. Data shouldn't be in only one place, plain and simple.
I mean, one of the things that Chris mentioned going into this is, they might not have all the security settings turned on, but it also comes down to is who's really watching who's using your environment. These guys are putting a platform together for you to log into and use, but they're not and most people aren't paying for additional services to really secure that environment and monitor and track what's going on.
Well, and let's expand on that. So let's say that let's back up just a second. Let's say we're using Microsoft, we're using Google, two of the most popular email platforms in the world, right? Or and productivity platforms in the world. You can use Google Workspace, you can use Microsoft 365. They're responsible for the data centers. They're responsible to make sure that the system is up and running, right? It's redundant. So if they have a failure someplace, it's supposed to keep running. We know that outages happen. Basic security features, like they might have built-in encryption that they do, access controls, like so that like my tenant can't talk, like if my 365 can't access your 365, right, Matt? Unless we grant some level of guest access, but by default we're separate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's their responsibility. When it comes to us, now we've already talked about this. Like identity is your responsibility. Make sure that people the settings are turned on, things like that. But backup is your responsibility. Enforcing strong passwords, MFA, all your responsibility. What about compliance? We haven't touched on that. You were just talking about the lawsuit, right? If you have if you're in an industry that requires compliance, requires retention periods or policies, that's your responsibility. That's not the cloud providers, and you're supposed to know that. And then to go one step further, what Bob said about who's using the stuff, again, that's your responsibility. They'll give you the logs and everything like that, but to detect who's in there, if it's the right person, maybe it's a threat actor or something like that, that's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
They might have some tools that you can add on, like Microsoft has some security tools you can add on and pay for, but let's be real.
Yeah, it's not in the basic licenses most of us use.
I don't get that for $6. I don't get that for $6 a month.
You do not. Or 12.
You get a lot
30 even.
Yeah, they're driving down the cost, right? We can we all build businesses on $6 a month.
Basics.
I built my life on sarcasm. Sorry, but so the the thing about it is like we both have responsibilities on both sides, right? Whether you're Google, whether you're using Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Dropbox, ShareFile, help me out. What's some other cloud applications people use? QuickBooks Online, right?
Any of them.
Pick a software as a service platform that you use.
QuickBooks Online's a great one because we always talk about copy your data, backup your data, and there's really no way to download QuickBooks, but there are backup services for QuickBooks Online where you can revert transaction errors and rollback and things like that.
Well, if you pay high enough too, I think their top end package you can do backups and
there is a backup in their high end package now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you have to put it back to the same spot you got it from though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Whereas things like I don't want to promote other vendors, but Red Store and multiple others I've seen can on the lower plan. So anyway, point.
Yeah, there's a bunch in the Intuit thing to back it up. My problem with QuickBooks goes far beyond that, but that's probably another day.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Intuit.
I'm not. Necessary evil to drive me nuts.
But the gist of this is like you have some responsibility as a company to make sure you're doing security inside of these platforms, and it's not. And backup is a big part of that. But like just like protect your identities. That's the big key. Protect your identities and backup where you can.
But you also bring up a really good point, Chris, so that people really need to secure that environment. That doesn't mean we set everybody to be the full administrator for your Office 365 environment just because they needed to access something.
What? Are you telling me that we're not supposed to run as admins on our computers either?
No, every day.
I can't tell you how many security events have been caused by people being administrators on computers.
So anyway, what are some takeaways for today?
Let's see here. I like that good one. Don't run as administrator. That's always a good one.
Don't run as administrator.
Yep.
Enable MFA everywhere.
Make sure you understand the security features that are your responsibility inside the platform that you're using. Whatever software it is, understand your responsibilities. And if you don't, obviously go out and find somebody that can help you with that.
And my big ones, don't keep your data only in one place, even if that's a cloud that you call safe. Nothing is 100% safe these days.
And both Microsoft and Google do have shared responsibility matrices that are available online. I don't have a link to them up right here, but if you go Google them or any of the service providers, figure out what is your responsibility? What are they really committing to? Because the worst time to find out is when you need that data and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those services you use probably pushes you into arbitration and restricts your ability to even have a lawsuit.
Oh yeah. It's in the terms of service you write every word of when you scroll to the bottom and click next.
Yep. So again, be wary of that. If you don't know what to look for, ask an expert. There might be a couple experts on this podcast, maybe just a couple.
Some more sarcastic than others, but all slightly sarcastic.
Yeah, truth.
Reach out to us, guys, and let's talk. If you've got questions, reach out. Comment where you saw the chat, or if you don't want to comment publicly, DM us, and we'll help you out. Yeah. Leave it at that.
Just don't DM me that bot you like Bob and Matt better. Just please don't.
What about Bob?
And if you do that, I'm just gonna share it with them anyway. So, all right, guys. Have a good rest of your week.
Bye.
We'll see you next week. Bye.